But just to save some time here, it's a follow-up on what Ms. Paskett was talking about. And it's the fishing classification standards. We have that for the larger commercial vessels. They are in line with the IMO standards. I believe that we have exempted the smaller boats, smaller fishing boats. And the question is, from the experience of the Coast Guard, would we improve the life safety if the smaller boats were not exempted and had to meet higher standards, or perhaps the international commercial standards? We need to get into that. That's an issue that comes back here on a regular basis, and it'd be helpful to have some of the Coast Guard experience and advice on that issue. So I'll let that hang out there. I doubt that you'll have an answer right now, but we'll give it to you for the record. Also, Chairman and I were just trying to figure out how we can stay on top of the activities, the major programs that the Coast Guard is responsible to carry out. There are 11 of them. Then there's all these new ships that you're building, cutters that you're building, aircraft that you're repurposing, the 27s and the like. You obviously have heard frustration about the SIP and the lateness of it. In a question that I asked a while ago, Admiral, you indicated that you do quarterly reviews, maybe more often than a quarter, probably 6 months also, updates on how these major programs are going in the internal management of the Coast Guard. And I assume that's all the way up to the Commandant, sit around a table and say, what's happening with the 27s out in McClellan? We're getting them done, we're not getting them done, what's the problem? To ameliorate the frustration that we have about the SIP, which seems to be not timely, presented to us in a timely way, I think I'm going to suggest that we pursue a more informal but more often review of where we are on the major programs that we follow. There's a lot of money involved. They're critical to the future work of the ability of the Coast Guard to carry out its missions. If you have that internal information, I don't know if it needs to be edited, but it would surely be helpful to us to keep track of where we are and as we do our work on authorization and appropriations. Now, we're not the appropriating committee, but we do talk to them from time to time, and they should see things our way. And when they don't, we try to persuade them otherwise. But taken together, I think we'd be able to keep better track of where the Coast Guard is on its major programs and activities, and simultaneously be able to be of more immediate help when needed on whatever the problem might be. So I'm going to let that hang out there for your review, and someday over a cup of coffee, maybe we can pursue that. Do you think that would be helpful, Mr. Anderson?
Sorry, could you specify the part about which part would be helpful?
That it would be helpful to receive a, I don't know, let's say a quarterly or at least a semi-annual update on where the major programs are. The Coast Guard apparently does it internally.
I am aware that we provide similar service for other major programs and other departments where we do speak to the appropriators and authorizers on a routine basis, such as quarterly.
I thought you might. And it would be helpful, I think, for us in our oversight review. And we do, what, every other year or every year? Every other year? A reauthorization. Oh, every other. Yeah, every other year, a reauthorization. And the appropriations are annual. And so if we can be helpful with the appropriators, this kind of information is important. And maybe less formal, but maybe we'll just sit down with a cup of coffee and review where we are. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you very much.
Thank the ranking member.